Hey everybody, welcome back to Pardonable Live. Seamless transitions left and right. Happy Sunday, everybody. It's the Lord's Day. Hope you had a wonderful Sunday. Hopefully you had a wonderful week. I know I did. Much better than last week. We talked about that. If you love this podcast, and I know you do me a favor and hit like and subscribe, all that good stuff. But if you really, absolutely love this podcast, you can go to pardonwill.com. I'm going to pull this up because I actually have it ready for you guys today. Go to pardonwill.com. There you can find all kinds of cool stuff. I'm still in the process of putting it together and building it. But if you go to the merch up at the top, or like it says in the search bar, pardonwill.com/merch, you can check out all my cool t-shirts that I have up here. I've got a bunch more coming in. Just in the process of cleaning this website up, but you can go there, click on any design you like. I got multiple different sizes, colors, all kinds of cool stuff. My favorite so far, it has to be the Chuck Norris. I sport that thing around town all the time. Tons of compliments. So if you want compliments on your sweet t-shirt, go to pardonwill.com/merch and get yourself one, man. Let's hop back to here. Whoop. Get yourself one. Hopefully that showed up. What a week it's been, guys. I had a hard time trying to name this episode, and so I went with fake news and Gen Z because the topic of our discussion tonight is going to be old. Actually, before we do that, if you guys like this podcast and stuff like that, if you're like, hey, I don't want to buy your stupid crappy t-shirts, you can actually like share this amount. We got some pretty good traction going for a podcast. And I know everybody and their mom has a podcast. Everybody and their mom streams. You got tons of favorite streamers, some that are awesome, me included. You can go and share this thing, share it around, hit that post share thing. It costs you nothing, and it's a good time. And plus, all the cool kids like things before everyone else does. So you can be one of the first ones sliding right in before everybody else is like, oh, this Pardonable Live is amazing. Who told me about this game? Oh, it was you, and so you get the credit for that. So like and subscribe, and don't forget to share the podcast. Anyway. Titled this episode Fake News and Gen Z because we're going to be pulling up Good Morning Joe. Good morning, Joe. Even though good morning is supposed to be politically incorrect now, apparently. I don't know what. Something to do with hating people. Old Morning Joe came out with this segment, so I'm going to go through that. But we're going to be talking a lot about discernment. And instead of putting the art of discernment for the title and scaring everyone off, I titled it the way I wanted to. Because old Gen Z is having a hard time figuring out what's true or false. And so we're going to talk about that, why that might be. I've got a few suspicions. And to be honest, this Morning Joe with this clip, so I'm not even sure if I should take that seriously. That might be fake news because we know Morning Joe is pretty good about having fake news. We're going to talk about that, a few other things, the Biden debate, the LNC coming up next week. And of course, me being an artist, I got to talk about old King Charles over there summoning demons with some sweet paintings and stuff. So we're going to be talking about that tonight. Sorry about that. Let's go and get to this clip. So we're going to it's a long clip. We're going to watch most of it. I might stop it in between things just to kind of point a few things out. And we're going to discuss it. You can go and chat on whatever you're watching this. Say what's up or whatever. But if you have any insight, put it in the chat and I'll read them out if they're pretty good. Let's do... Hold on, let me pull this up real quick. All right, I'm going to get this thing ready. Let's go full screen. So, Old Morning Joe, let's do this. I'm going to do one of these things. Old Morning Joe's got something to say. So, check this out. They did a whole thing. We're going to watch it. And you guys tell me what you think.
This week, a bipartisan group of senators released a roadmap for combating misinformation stemming from artificial intelligence. It encourages AI creators to implement robust protections ahead of this year's election while still protecting First Amendment rights. And joining us now is NBC News correspondent and anchor for NBC News Now Daily, which is doing great, by the way. Love watching you guys. Who is new reporting on who might be most affected by AI-driven misinformation? And what did you learn? Because the answer scares me a lot. I've seen it in real time.
Right? It scares me too. And what's interesting is that the studies actually show it's not the baby boomers or even the millennials who are having trouble clocking misinformation, but Generation Z, all while nearly a third of adults under the age of 30 regularly get their news from TikTok. So, of course, we wondered, how does this generation actually distinguish between what's real?
All right, I'm going to pause it real quick. So this is super curious to me. This is why I'm already suspicious of this whole thing. There is no way. I don't know what they showed. I mean, they're about to show you a few things. There's no way the boomers did good on this. Look, if you're a boomer, I love you. I think you're great. I've got some I know I got some bones to pick with you guys, but regardless, there is no way. The boomers are the same generation that were, I mean, I get it. The internet was new to them back in the day, but they would get emails from Nigerian princes, be like, "Oh, send me some money." It was a whole joke. And then people would just like send them money order checks to these quote unquote Nigerian princes for a good investment. As soon as all their gold gets not tied up. That's that generation. You're telling me that generation, baby boomers, they're like, "Yeah, I can spot AI from a mile away. I can't see where I'm going when I'm driving. I've cut you off 17 times. But yeah, this AI, that's definitely AI. I counted all 6 fingers. There's no way. But anyway, we're going to believe it. We're going to suspend our disbelief and we're going to listen to this clip. But there's no way. There's no way the boomers spotted this, scored great. But let's see. They're going to break it down for us. Let's keep going.
Real and what's fake, and what does all of this mean for how they're going to vote this year? The answers we got, trust me, they were pretty surprising.
Misinformation is everywhere.
Can we talk about that first one they put up as Taylor Swift holding? To be honest, I knew that wasn't real because it's too good to be true. I absolutely, but then if it does, if old Tay-Tay comes out on her whatever tour she's on and she just straight up comes for endorses Trump, I am even if it is true, I'm not going to believe it. Again, I might be falling into that category, be like, that didn't happen, there's no way. I don't believe Tay-Tay for 1 minute. But anyway, that was a great one to start off with.
From altered voices at a college football game,
I hereby resign from my position,
to AI-generated political announcements. But when it comes to actually spotting it, a recent survey found younger Americans performed worse than their older counterparts on a misinformation test designed by the University of Cambridge. With Generation Z, Americans between 18 and 29 scoring worse than any other age group. So what does that mean for this upcoming?
I know that was a quick. I can try to pull this back. Let's take a look at this real quick. All right. Percentage of passing grade or higher. This is also done by Cambridge, and they're talking about misinformation. Again, I go back to, I don't believe these people when they talk about misinformation. But this is a pretty good story. So I'm gonna back it up on this because they kind of show you and walk through, and we're gonna break it down a little by little. But this thing says 65 and older scored a 66%, like on the true side. They spotted 66. That blows my mind. Now, unless it was like 4 of them, they're like, we only got 4 boomers to take this thing, and it just so happens to be some Alex Jones boomers, and they just nailed it. That's kind of what I'm wondering. They call up a bunch of people. They're like, fake news, I can spot that from a mile away. And they're like, oh my God, we only got 4 of them, and they all wearing Trump hats, but let's do it anyway. And 66% spotted the fake news. Anyway, ages 45 to 60. That's more what Gen Xers, little into the boomer. They did right under them. And then there's a huge drop off to 35%, ages 30 to 44. That's that Gen Y millennial. That's us. That's my age range. 35%. You think we could do better than that? But I chalk it up to they probably, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's everybody's failing left or right, but not that far underneath there is the ages 18 to 29. So I just want you guys to see that as we continue. I still don't believe it must have been Alex Jones and 3 of his friends that scored 66%. That's about the rate he's true on. But anyway, let's keep going.
So what does that mean for this upcoming election?
And that's an amazing thing, but of course...
We sat down with a group of Gen Z journalism students here at Bucks County Community College to find out.
Okay.
Hold on. We're stopping it again. We're not going to get far with this one. Gen Z journalist majors. They already fell for the biggest misinformation. You're not going to make any money. You're not going to be able to get hired. You went to school. I get it. Your heart's in the right place. But the first misinformation that you fell for was that this was a good idea, going to school for journalism. So let's just put that one right up front. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. Yep, let's keep going. Anyway, this is sharpest crayons in the box. Let's go.
Okay, so about roughly half of you get your news from social media. What if I told you that studies have found that Gen Z is actually more susceptible to misinformation than older generations?
I would believe it.
You believe it?
Yeah.
It's no surprise because Gen Z basically grew up with tablets and iPhones. I mean, we're the Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter generation.
It's all on the same thing, all on the same platforms, both real and fake news, and there's no really differentiating.
So we decided to put them to our own test.
So each of you has a card. One side has real, one side has fake.
Showing examples of fake news and real news found on the internet, some of which were created by AI. They spotted several of the fakes pretty easily, like this AI-generated image of Joe Biden in military fatigues.
The guy in the back, his face is like very distorted. It's very big. It just doesn't look natural.
I like how they first are like, the Biden in military fatigues, that seems legit. I mean, but the guy in the background, that's a little suspicious. Okay, let's go.
Ready? Here we go. Fake. Okay. You guys spotted it.
But others were trickier.
Is this photo
so good
of the Bidens and the Carters real or fake? Well, the answer is real.
All right, so I remember when that photo came out, and I give it to him. It's about half, 50%. Bro, I should have pulled that photo. I should go back and pause it. One of the greatest art pieces of all time. That photo. Now she's going to talk about like fisheye lens and stuff like that, but oh my God. And the fact that it was real is like, this has to be manipulated because it's so ridiculous, but they're really, they're tiny people. They're tiny people apparently, but it also a wide angle lens will flare up the sides, but not that much. Not that much. I still claim that's fake. Only because I don't want it to be real. I don't want it to be real. Or the Bidens are like giants, like Nephilim or something. Maybe they're super big. I don't know what to do with that. Let's keep going with this real quick. Let's see what else we're going. I love that friggin' picture. I gotta get that.
This was actually taken by the White House. And what's fascinating about that, it was probably done on a wide angle lens.
Yeah.
This AI-generated image of
real, calling it right now, has to be real. And if it is fake, probably real. There's probably one just like that.
Former President Donald Trump fooled half of the group.
This one is fake. This was an AI-generated image. It was shared by an ex-user.
Yeah, it may be fake, but isn't it based? Anyway, let's go.
Oh my God!
Oh well, and I actually can't make out the name in the hat. This was like an eyeball.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Look, that's legit too. The name in the hat, like I've seen tons of hats. You probably can't make out what my hat looks like. Let's back that up. I went too far. Anyway, the name on the hat, that's legit. The eyeball drooping could have been legit too. That's the thing. That's why it does get tricky. I give it to these Gen Z or journalists. They have a hard time figuring out what's fake and what's real. But anyway,
AI tends to really mess up words.
It's a concern shared by both Congress and a new crop of nonprofit organizations aiming to detect AI-generated images ahead of the election, like the nonpartisan group TrueMedia.org.
My biggest concern is that when it gets to the fall and even the 48 hours before the election, that we will be flooded with false images showing President Biden being rushed to the hospital, showing that there's an active shooter.
There it is. I don't know if you guys caught this. And I maybe I'm just got a ear for this kind of thing. I'm going to back it up just a second. I want you guys to listen to this. Now listen to what she just said. a bipartisan thing called True Media, right? They're bipartisan. They deal with this fake news. And then here's the founder. Now listen to what he says right off the bat. The founder of this bipartisan thing that decide what's fake news and what's not fake news. Super important.
My biggest concern is that when it gets to the fall and even the 48 hours before the election, that we will be flooded with false images showing President Biden being rushed to the hospital, showing that there's an active shooter at an election site, and having all these things be false, but be credible.
But in the end,
that sounds super partisan to me. I don't know if maybe it's just me. Maybe I was like, it's just the first example. Maybe because that we'll talk about that in here a little bit. I'm not going to go further. Just thought that was interesting. Every time you hear MSNBC or anybody be like, oh, this bipartisan, totally not biased news thing like Snopes, they're coming out. What do they think? Well, we're really worried about Biden in this election. Well, sure, totally bipartisan. Anyway, let's keep going.
these students got a passing grade.
I honestly thought I would fail because it's just so easy to create AI images and AI headlines.
I think the most important part is to not see stuff like that and kind of move away from that being part of our info stream.
With one surprising result.
All right.
From doing this test.
Hold on. I got to stop it again. I'm sorry. You guys are like, can I just watch the friggin' clip, David? All right. That's super disheartening. And we're going to talk about this at length here in a minute. But that right there, like it just gets worse as the clip goes along. These kids are like, well, I can't tell. And, you know, so I didn't think I was going to pass anyway, because it's just how am I supposed to be able to figure this out? How am I supposed to be able to tell when someone's lying to me, when it's not, when an image is altered and when it's not? It's totally, look how demoralized these kids are. And they're journalists. Well, they're quote unquote going to school for journalism. And they're already like, I don't even know. This is just going to go downhill for me. Just watch this.
It almost feels like you all aren't so worried about thinking that fake things are real, but instead when you see real things, you're not actually sure if they aren't fake. Am I hearing that correctly? Does that sort of skepticism affect the way that you feel about voting at all?
It makes it a lot harder to think about voting because you have to do a lot of extra work.
Bingo.
To find out if the things you're seeing are real.
Holy crap. Bingo. This chick is spot on. She just doesn't know it. Yes, it does make it a lot harder. Is that a feature or is that a bug? It shouldn't. This is going to be super controversial. Voting should not be easy. The fact that she even said, she's like, you got to put a lot of work in, it makes it a lot harder. You actually have to look your candidates up and look at things and not just vote, vote blue all the, no matter who. You kind of have to look at these. So you never know what's telltale sign right there. Yes, young lady, journalist, you do have to do some work. You need to actually research stuff. You need to watch Pardonable Live. He'll break things down for you in the best way he can. You got to do work. Voting, I get, is a right. And people are like, it's a right. Everyone should vote. Should everybody vote? Should I vote? I mean, come on now. Like, you guys have seen this podcast. That should work. The fact that I vote should worry you. And then when I look at the world, I'm like, oh my God, I really am worried about people voting. Voting is, here's the thing about rights and freedoms and privileges. Voting is a responsibility. Not the like, well, you need to be responsible and get out there and vote. No, you need to be educated on what you're voting for, who you're voting for, especially when everything that comes out, like the Inflation Reduction Act did nothing for inflation. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to reduce inflation, except for all the people who read the bill. And then you're like, oh, never mind. It's just, it's a lot of climate change stuff, because people did the research. Yes. So if you want to vote, you should definitely do the legwork. You should definitely put in some ounce of effort other than just driving to the station. And people aren't even driving anymore. They're just mailing stuff off. You can see how I feel about this. I think voting should be controversial. I think it should be extremely difficult. I think you should be able to have to take a test. Nothing crazy. Just a cognitive test. One I don't know if Joe Biden would even pass. Something super simple. Put the colors, match the colors, word memory. Does the star shape go in the square hole? Simple stuff like that. And then maybe we can move to the next step. Like, what's the name of the people that you're going to vote for? Do you even know their names? Or are you just, looking for the letter next to them? Stuff like that might just be helpful. Anyway, yeah, truth be told, I can go on and on about this, but I don't know. I don't know if everyone voting is just a great idea. Do I want everyone to have a say? Sure. But if you're not going to educate yourself, do you really need to be talking? And this is coming from a guy that just makes fun of people on the internet. I know I sound super hypocritical. I didn't say I was even going to vote. I probably will vote. I've watched enough of this stuff. But anyway, kind of disheartening at the end of this video, but there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. These people are waking up, and these kids in journalism, they're waking up. So let's finish it out real quick.
Does it make you say, why even engage?
Yeah, there's
in the
definitely
political
times
process?
where I'll be thinking, why bother? If I cannot tell any sort of difference between the two.
Between true and false?
Between true and false.
Tell the difference between true and false. All right. I think we are done with that video real quick. Let's let me get this off here. Let's check out. We got some comments in the chat. Let's see what this is. I've read these. Probably should pre-read these. Gen Z didn't grow up with the paranoia Gen X and millennials did. That might be true, which is kind of strange. It's possible boomers just think anything they disagree with is AI misinformation, whereas in Z possibly don't even have experience to consent to political views. I absolutely agree about that. Now, here's the thing. Is we're going to be talking a lot about BS tonight. So this is spot on. I agree with that statement. I'll read some more comments in a minute, but I agree with that statement. Let me just get this thought out. I think that's absolutely true. I think the only reason why the older you get, the more easier you can spot BS is because at one point in time you fell for it. I think the younger generation hasn't had enough life experience just in day to day to be lied to and then find out that they were lied to. So their BS meter, that little radar that you have, that I have, that are going off in our heads, that takes experience. That's not something you can read in a book, especially if you're going to journalism school. You're gonna be like, oh, textbook 36 says here's how to spot BS. I mean, sure, they have those out there, but they don't work. We talked about this last week, and I'll bring it up just a quick thing. Talking about my libertarian friends. Super book smart. Read all the books, know all about economics, slightly autistic, so understand systems and patterns real well. Not that great with tactics because they're not that great street smart wise. Now you have a ton of people, especially the populist movement, probably a lot of them a little bit more street smarts. I would say the populist movement may be on the left too. Pretty street, especially smart with media. I don't think AOC knows economics. I don't even know she knows how to write a check or checkbook or whatever. I don't think she understands anything about economics, but she definitely knows how to work media. She's got that street smart. I think a lot of people just don't have that. I also don't know if she can. I do think AOC can spot BS, and I think she knows she can use BS to catch other people. I don't think the left is good at spotting BS. I think they would be if they weren't so tightly wrapped up in a bubble. And I say that bubble is because it's harder if you're on. Here's another thing about the left. I think it's a lot harder to be able to spot. Speaking of these kids at Cambridge, I'm assuming most of them are lefties. It's harder to spot disinformation when all of the institutions are your influence. Hollywood, the college school system, the government, all of the things, the culture, everything, music, art, fashion, everything is wrapped around your bubble, your influences, your left-leaning progressive ideals. It's harder to spot misinformation when everything around you is being told. And since you're growing up, younger people are super influential. And so why would they be able to spot, even if it is AI, it's something that they grew up in? Like, we're on TikTok all the time. We should be able to tell the difference between something real and something fake. Wrong. I don't think they understand. They don't have a foundation preference to be like, I know a lot of us older folks can tell when somebody's lying just by how many times they blink, or if they're not making eye contact, if they're, different mannerisms. And that's not even stuff that you have to like, well, he definitely blinked 47 times. No, you just know it. You know when someone's lying to you. And I think that's the thing about the right, especially the populist right, the MAGA movement. I think that is their great advantage because they really are quick to spot BS right off the bat. Not all the times, but I definitely think they are, because your boy Trumpy boy is super street smart, knows how to play the game, knows how to do it, and knows how to be authentic in the process. When people can spot BS, chances are normally they're pretty good at being authentic in the process. They know what it's like to be caught up in that. And the only reason people are good at spotting BS is because someone got them over once in a while, myself included. You can throw me in that category. I've gotten got before. And so you learn that pretty quick, who to trust, who not to trust. Let's get some more comments. Let's see what this is. This is coming from Twitch. Veerfro. America has pioneered high-tech lying and false reality constructs. Could be true. America has pioneered a ton. It would not. I actually think, yeah, I think they did this, and everybody just kind of copied, like most things America does. I mean, look at democracy. Yeah. The Romans, Greeks, whatever. Shut up. American history didn't start till 1776 anyway, and everyone just copied America from then on out. Let's see what else we got. I got a bunch of comments, guys. You guys are blowing up the chat. I love it. Over here on YouTube, let's see. It's a popularity contest because your average voter still votes like they did in high school. No joke, because your average voter is probably still living in their high school age. He's totally right. Godspeed is totally right. He says, I doubt AC knows how to read. Other than YouTube comments, which I'm not even sure she knows how to read those either. She probably has someone read them out to her. 100%. Agree. And then he goes on to say, not to mention the gaslighting. You guys are awesome. All right. So spotting BS, super difficult. Again, we went over this. I think all of you guys know. It's touch and go. Even me, like I get caught up. This AI thing is throwing everybody off because it's new. Same with the Nigerian prince. Back in the day when people would get those weird spam emails. I mean, there's movies about scam artists all the time. You can go to Netflix, type in scam artist documentary, boom, scam. People get got. There's nothing wrong with getting got. The thing about getting got is most likely is because you live in a high trust society. You have a status quo. You have your cognitive bias. Why would people screw me over? I'm just a normal, kind-hearted American. People forget to always be skeptical. And they said that at the end of the clip. So does this make you, going through this and seeing that you were wrong about it, does this make you more skeptical? And they're like, yeah, but they're disheartened skeptics. And that's the thing I want to talk about. Most people who can read BS know it's out there. They're not disheartened by it. They know people are wanting to get them over it. They keep people at an arm's length most of the time, unless they've been vetted, which means normally an average adult has their acquaintances, large scale, people at arm's length, and then their tight-knit group of friends, people who've been vetted, who've been through thick and thin, people you can trust, people who won't BS you, people who won't run you over. These college kids, man, all they knew were high school. I don't even know if they know what a long-lasting friendship is, because they're not old enough to know what one is. And so, yeah, I think it doesn't surprise me that Gen Z is struggling to be able to tell what's true and false. But I also, number one, it's not necessarily their fault because they're so young. The second thing is, and a lot of the comments brought this up, man, they've lived in a world where they've been lied to and then found out they were lying way more than any of us old school kids were. Like I'm in the millennial Gen Y group. And so I grew up before there was even an internet. Everyone believed the news that was on TV. Everyone believed the talking points. And then the internet came about, and we were all kind of feeling our way in the blind with what this means, what it happens. Who are these Nigerian princes asking me for money? We kind of grew up with that. So we're automatically somewhat suspicious. And then as the internet grew, we started to realize that a lot of things that we were told right off was not anything that was, it just made us skeptical right off the bat. And so we're hardened skeptics, but we also understand that there is truth out there, and you can spot it. I feel bad for this younger group because they should be skeptics, but they're disheartened skeptics. Now because they can't tell true or false. They're basically saying, it's like, what's the point of even trying? If I can't prove it's true and I can't prove it's false, why would I even vote? A lot of anarcho-capitalists out there are cheering them on, being like, yeah, you can't vote your way out of this anyway, so it's probably a good thing. But a lot of us other people out there being like, this is worrisome. This definitely gets me nervous about the younger crowd. I do think there will be hope for them, because I think with age, you just kind of learn hard lessons. You learn those things. Hopefully, you start to learn what's true and what's false just through experience, because that's the only thing that's really going to teach you. I mean, the books are great. Read the books. Read all the books. The children love the books, but you're going to have to take some risks, and you can tell in these kids' eyes that they haven't hit the risk part yet. And once they start taking risks and they lose a little bit here and there and they gain a little bit here and there, they'll be fine. I've got hope for the next generation. Let's see what Paleo Garbage is back. We got Nigerian prince scam was intentionally designed to weed out people who were less likely to believe it by using bad English and poor sentence structure. Basically, it preyed on the less educated people who might be more impulsive and easily convinced. Yes, it did. Here's my fear. I don't think those tactics have gone away at all. And I think they've only gotten more honed in. And I think with the internet and with all this stuff, people are, again, I go back to, I don't know if it's good that everyone can vote. I know you guys think that's like, well, this is a bit audacious. No, I don't know. Even if you do a cursory search, just a surface level look into things, you should be able to be a little bit hesitant. I always go back to the one thing that was your telltale sign, 2020. If you weren't slightly skeptical about everything that was happening then I don't know how you've made it this far. And if you're younger and you're like, no, I've grew up and we all kind of believed everything. I get it. But if you're older crowd, unless you're a boomer, boomers, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that's going to help you out. Apparently you're doing great. Like I said, you just believe whatever the telly tells you. And if it's on the TikToks, they're like, it's all fake. They were talking mostly about TikTok anyway and social media. So again, it's MSNBC. If they would have pulled up a Joe Scarborough clip and be like, tell me if this is real or fake. And we all know it's fake. Like Joe Biden's definitely not coaching, even though Joey Scarborough here is telling me he is. They'd be like, no, it's true. He is coaching. So, consider the source. Consider the fact these are journalists, kids going to school for journalism. Again, they fell for another scam right off the bat. And so they'll learn that lesson. And then when they figure out when they're working at Starbucks, they'll be like, dude, oh my God, I totally should have been more skeptical. Anyway, there is one other part in that club. I'm not going to try to pull it up because it'll be too difficult. The guy in the truth.org, where he's like, look at all this misinformation. I suspect, and he said this, I suspect coming into the fall, right up into November, we're going to get a ton of different AI clips coming out. Joe Biden rushed to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. I want you to pay attention to that because it leads into our next segment. But that was kind of interesting because if you're a skeptic and you're already kind of like weary of this stuff and you're always kind of trying to look for the scam, look for the missing pieces, look for the 11th finger in the AI photo. If you're that kind of a person, that should have pierced your ears up real quick. Because the one thing we do know that they do a lot is they do pre-programming. And so it would not surprise me as if what he just said does actually happen. And then it puts me on my back heels because at first I would have been, no, I don't know if that's true. But the intuition in my head says, well, I've already heard it before, so maybe it is true, and it was a double whammy. Double agent, triple agent, secret agent, ace agent, pet detective. I don't know. I just think it could be all kinds of things. So these poor kids, poor us. You guys watching this, me included, we're in for a wild ride. I'll get to my analysis after we go through all of this BS because we're talking about BS. Let's go to our next clip real quick. Let me get rid of this real quick. Speaking of old Joey Biden not making it to the presidency, we got this thing. Let me pull this up. We're going to watch this. I know you guys have seen this. It's been floating around the internet everywhere, but we're going to watch it again because it's hilarious. I'm going to full screen it. Hold on, let me get this all together. Whoop, nope, not that. Let's do this one. All right. So Joey Biden came out swinging for Trump. He wants to do a debate.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate.
Okay. Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. Wait, what? So he's just coming right out with it. I'm assuming did he mean to say Donald Trump lost to the election? Is that what he's talking about? Does he think he lost the debate? Because I remember watching those debates and I remember everyone being like, bro, Trump won, and all the news being like, oh, Trump humiliated himself. Look how many times Joe Biden said, come on, man. Yeah, he's lying right off the bat, but let's continue. Let's all pretend that Joe Biden is coaching.
Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
Hey, all right.
The shade.
Oh, the shade. This guy from MSNBC. Bro, everyone talked about how many jump clips that was, how it was edited. We all know that. And the debate thing came out with a list of demands for old Donald. No live audience. They're cutting the mics off. All the things that Donald plays on. Old Donnie Trump. And he's like, we'll debate and we'll do it twice. And I'm going to rock your world. I hope you're free on Wednesday. Let's be honest, that Wednesday's jab, that was pretty funny. Not something I would expect out of Brandon. Must have been dark Brandon that day. Adderall dark Brandon must have been souped up on some kind of white powder they found in the library. Oh, I don't know if you guys heard this. They found some more this past week. Probably going to keep finding it as the debates get closer. Just trails of cocaine all over the place in the White House. They're trying to prep him. They don't want to drop him right off. Let's talk about this. So Donald accepted, but Donald boy came out. I don't have that clip. I wasn't going to play because I'm sure you've seen that one too. Donnie came out making fun of Joey. And he was saying, "I'll do it," but old Joey Biden here has to take a drug test. He's gonna have to pee in a cup if he can hit the cup. I don't even think he can hit the. He's probably got a catheter anyway, but he's gonna have to be drug tested. Donnie boy wants him. He said he was high as a kite. The State of Union, which he was. Here's my hot take: is Joe Biden going to be doped up for this debate? If it happens, wink, wink. I don't think it will. I'm staying on my heels on that one. I don't think. Let's start off with one topic. I don't know if the debates are. I think this is all a show, and I'll tell you why. Number one, I think he's only coming out and saying this because the LNC is next week, and old Donnie Boy is going to be there with Vivek, with RFK. Of course, all the libertarians. They're going to have some debates. They're going to get to chattering back and forth. The war of the ideas is going to be a great time. Looking forward to that. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I think he's only coming out because all this is happening, which is a good sign. But he also wants to push it up forward. Again, they're going to have to dope him up for this. State of the Union all over again. He's going to have to be fired up because even if it's in a studio without, here's the other thing, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, I don't trust them at all. And I don't trust CNN to be able to put this thing together without jump clipping it anyway. So if Trump agrees this thing, he better have his own camera live streaming on the old tubes, or have Elon shoot that stream right onto X so we can all watch it in real time. Because I do every time Joe Biden starts to fumble commercial break right then, and then Lord knows what they're going to do. So I think the whole thing's a sham. I doubt it'll happen because I don't think they're going to debate each other. I hope it absolutely does. I absolutely hope it does, but I don't think it'll happen. Number two, I think since we know Biden's going to be doped up, they're not going to drug test him. Even if Trump's like, "I'll do it," but you got to drug test him. They're not going to drug test him. But since we know they won't, let's hop Trump up too. Give him few Diet Cokes. Let him hit some Diet Cokes. Just Diet Cokes, whatever Coke you want to do. Let's just do it. Let's just, the same way people like to say, we're like, well, why are we drug testing these football players? Let them hop up on steroids and go at it. That would be a fun sport. I say the same thing with debate. So here's my thing old Donnie Boy and Biden should do. Come out. Let's do the debate. No holds bars. As much drugs as you want. All the drugs. Do all the drugs. And let's get that debate. I guarantee that'll be a good time. We might actually get some truth telling, especially if he makes a little booze in there too. Can't do that. Biden fall asleep way too quick. Trump doesn't drink, so it's not going to happen. But I bet you get fired up and they're going, open the mics up, let them go longer than 90 seconds or whatever. We're going to get some truth bombs dropping left and right. We might even get a geriatric fist fight. Put them on a little, whatever those drugs do to people. Soup them up. Let's get a super mutant versus super mutant, just geriatric freaking canes going at it. Debate. So that's my take on that. Old Biden they're not going to drug test that guy. They did so many jump clips on that, and I know everyone on the internet was talking about, like, look how many jump clips that we all saw it, we all know it. Putting the cool music underneath it doesn't help. I understand that they're trying to do the best they can, clean them up. It's not working. And I think man, here's the sad truth. Let's be honest real quick. And I know you guys, I'm starting to get to a point where I despise all the politicians, which is not, I've already kind of been there. I never trusted them. I wasn't at the point where I despised them. I'm starting to get to the point where they lie to you and to your face so much that I don't know how you just don't abhor these people and the things that come out of their mouth. But there is a part of me that is like, how long can they string this old man along? Trump, I'm not worried about it. He seems to be pretty healthy. Who knows? What if Trump wears a diaper? Don't care if he wears a diaper, if he doesn't wear a diaper. The guy's rocking and rolling. I don't have any worries about him internally. I don't think anything that's going to happen to him other than maybe his warp speed products. That makes me a little nervous. But the guy's on all kinds of other things. Shooting bleach into his veins. It's fine. Ultraviolet rays right up the rear end. The guy's on fire. Old Joey boy. I get nervous about. Hence the clip, the pre-programming, and be like, well, what if AI comes out and tells you Joe Biden's rushed to the hospital? I guarantee that clip's already been made. And it's just somebody on the internet just waiting to hit send. They're like, this will be a good, I'm bored on Wednesday. Maybe I'll wait till then. That's already going to be made. There's going to be tons of these. Like I said, everyone, it's election season. Buckle up. You're going to be sifting through on Instagram, like, black square, Palestine flag, Israel flag, riots, burning down buildings. Joe Biden went to the hospital. That's just fun. You're just going to keep flipping because at this point in time, you can't believe everything you see on the internet, and you can't believe everything you see on the TV, and you can't believe anything you see with your own eyes. You can't believe anything like that. So it is what it is. Again, do the best you can. I'm gonna give you my whole cold hard analysis towards the end. We got to rush through these things pretty quick. Oh, speaking of LNC debates that are coming up, since I'm gonna be real quick with this one. Next weekend, I'm not gonna be there. Of course, I've got other things I'm going on. I will be on here next Sunday, so we'll talk about it. The LNC will be going on at that time, so we'll see. But I will talk about, hopefully, if I get to see some of the debates, stuff like that. We'll chat about that. That'll probably be next week's episode, talking a lot about that. But if you are going to the LNC and you are a delegate and I just want to put this out here. Out of all the candidates that I look into, I think they're great. I actually sat in the space room with old Rechtenwald, the Mises Caucus guy that they're putting up. He's a great guy. I'll say this. Great guy, super smart. And I think he's genuine. Difficult to listen to. I don't think he's quick on his feet. I've heard him in a few debates just on X Spaces alone. Not witty as much as I would prefer him to be. Again, I'm a bit of a populist anyway. I want my candidates to be somewhat charismatic. I want them to be quick-witted because I think it takes a lot of, you can't just always be prepared. You've got to be able to shift and move on your feet, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee kind of thing. I like my candidates like that. Rechtenwald doesn't seem to come through with that. Lars, not too bad. Chase Oliver might as well be a Democrat. Same with Hornberger. So I don't like them. I'm going to go ahead and endorse my boy Joshua Smith. I think he's the best libertarian candidate. I stand for all of his belief. There's a few reasons why. I'll tell you the one. The best libertarian candidate. He's up front. He's charismatic and he's witty. He knows his stuff. And he's willing to put in the work because he already has, especially with not having anybody really backing him, which I thought was kind of weird because I feel like he's really gained some grassroots experience just because he does his own podcast. He's always trying to get into places and talk to people. So my boy Joshua Smith, right off the bat, here's the number one reason why I like Joshua. Right off the bat, when he announced his candidacy for presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party, he right off the bat says, I know we're not going to win, and I'm not in this to win the presidency. I'm not going to BS anybody. I'm not going to pretend like this will be the time we're going to change it. A third party is going to get in. We should just all, maybe it won't, maybe it will. This will be our chance to shine. Look at it. He didn't come out. He didn't BS you. He was authentic, going, we're not going to win. But what we can do is push and push and push our libertarian principles to the farthest forefront. I don't even think he had a problem with old Trumpy boy and Vivek and RFK showing up the debates because he knows that's good for the Libertarian Party. I think he's smart. I think he's witty. And the one thing I like him most, he's not delusional and he's not BSing you. So I endorse Joshua Smith for the Libertarian candidate. Hopefully it happens. But that's my take on that. All right, let's go. Oh, I got this. This is a really good comment from Godspeed coming off of YouTube. Let's see what he says. I suspect Trump has controlled opposition, especially how badly the left witch hunts Trump just to make him look stronger with every hit. Now, here's cool. I like this, Godspeed. I love that comment because it means you're thinking about things and working through this because it is true. Trump could be opposition, especially with his ideas of pulling Marco Rubio and super big finance guy, bit of a neocon, DeSantis guy, kind of pulling in this money, pulling in this regime, the old school, the swamp, kind of pulling that in, does make it seem like the left is setting him up. But I don't know. Here's where it gets tricky. Here's where I'm confused about the left. They all seem unified, right? They all seem like, well, they're all lock and step with the politically correctness and the agenda. True, but they're not unified on one account. They're extremely selfish. That's the problem with having anybody in a big regime trying to do what they're trying to do before. They're all extremely selfish. I don't think this witch hunt trial thing for Trump was a coordinated effort. I think it was all these individuals. Some memo went out, but like this might be consideration. And every AG that they thought they would get some kind of platitudes for blocking Trump up jumped on it as quick as possible. Not because they want to help out Democrats, because obviously they weren't thinking they were looking to help out their own career. Typical leftists. And so I do not know if this was particularly orchestrated, because if the regime, the big thing that had the deep state orchestrated these trials, like what you just said, they did an awful job. They're playing checkers when they should be playing chess. And we're all like, they're playing 7D chess over it. Nope. They're playing Lincoln Logs. They're Matchbox Race. They're Hot Wheels down the track. They're not even playing in the same room with us if they're thinking this stuff is going to. So you're right. Maybe Trump is controlled opposition, but it doesn't quite make sense because I do not think they're genuinely that unified. That's my take on that. But good comment, Godspeed. I like where your head's at. Always be shifting. Always be moving. You never know. Again, Trump came out last week, was like, I'm going to give the FBI a brand new, beautiful building. Makes me nervous. Keeps me on my back heels. I don't know about this Trump guy because he could be getting, looped right into the swamp. I'm gonna do my best to pay attention to see what's going on, but I don't know if I would commit to him being controlled opposition, only because it doesn't seem like with all these trials that they really thought this through, and it doesn't seem like they're extremely united on a front. I think they take advantage of what they can. I don't think J6 was organic. I don't think a lot of these things are just so happening to Trump because, he's a bad person. So why not invest? I do think they are coordinated in their efforts, but I think the thing that keeps tripping them up is self-interest in multiple different people in those parties. That's where I'm standing on that one. So we'll see. We'll see if Trump is controlled opposition. I'd love to see him debate somebody at the Libertarian Party. I'm sure that stuff will come up. Maybe it'll explode, pull the veil a little bit back, pull the blonde hair a little bit back. We get to see the truth behind the old Trumpster. Here's another reason why I don't know if Trump's controlled opposition, because if he is, he's a phenomenal actor. And I get it. He's a businessman. He can lie to your face and sell you a ketchup flavored popsicle when you're wearing white gloves. I understand. He might be that good, but I'm not sure if he is that good of an actor. I do this live, and this is why I say this. Maybe he is. I could be wrong. There's a lot of people out there, great actors. I do this podcast, this live thing, and I take really short notes just to keep on standpoint. But all this is off the cuff. I can't plan this stuff out. And so anybody who goes off teleprompter like old Trumpy boy does tells me whatever he's saying, he's got to believe it. Because ain't nobody be able to do this. People who lie have to rehearse it. And when they rehearse it, you can tell. And so I don't think Trump is controlled opposition, number one, on that fact alone. The guy constantly goes off script. And also, he's not playing into his party half the time. He keeps being like, this warp speed was great. Why don't you guys like this thing? If they were 7D chessing it, he would have came out and apologized to rile his base back up. He would be playing into the DeSantis group a lot more than he is now. I don't think the neocons, he'd be making better steps than he is. But number one, when I listen to him talk and you can tell he goes off teleprompter. He's just off the cuff in it. The guy has, it's all of those thoughts have been sitting on his heart for a hot minute, because no one can bridle the tongue that well. Anyway, let's get to one more thing. I was going to talk about the NIH coming out and being like, yeah, we did do the gain of function thing. That thing that Fauci kept lying to us about in 2020. I thought that was super important. You guys probably saw it. But again, your BS meter. Every time, I'm not going to pull the thing up. It was New York Post. You can go check it out. The NIH came out and was like, well, technically, if we're using the generic function of the gain of function, then yeah, we were kind of doing that and we were funding it. So you as an American citizen, you basically help pay for the coronavirus. But we're just finding that out today. Most of you guys already knew about that. Again, when all of the BS was coming out, a lot of you guys are smart. You got your head on a swivel. You pick up on the BS really early on without anybody even telling you, because you're a born skeptic, because you live through things. You've seen people lie to you. You know, when Joe Scarborough's out there spilling his lies, if you look deeply in his eyes, he's crying on the inside, or he's lying, or he's doing both. There's no way that's telling the truth. And we all know that. We watch these people do it over and over and over again. We are seasoned veterans on BS. And so now when they come out and be like, are you guys surprised? We were funny. Nope, we're not surprised. We knew it all along. We're surprised you admitted it, even though you really kind of didn't. But truth be told, you were lied to, and most of you guys caught it. If you didn't catch it, don't worry. Keep up with us. We'll hold our hands. We'll take you along for the ride. All right, let's get to this real quick. I want to pull this up because I know a lot of you guys. Oh, not that. Let's get rid of that real quick. I know you guys love this podcast. You guys follow me. I don't know if you know this, but I'm an artist. This podcast actually started off way back in the day as an art podcast. And I do art, like stuff around me. I got a website. You can go to the website, take a look at the art stuff. So something big happened this week. Old King Charles over in England got his painting done. That's not what I was looking for. Wait, is that? Hold on a second. Yeah, we're gonna pull this up. Hold on. Actually, give me a second. I'm still fumbling through this stuff. All right, let's share this real quick, and then I'm gonna I'm gonna leave it like this for now. Let's view image. No, we'll switch this around. Nope, not that. Let's go this screen. Sorry, guys. I'm still working on this. I'm getting better. I got a ton of tabs open too. So it is what it is. Old King Charles. Oh, why is this not full screening? Oh, it's not full screening for you guys. Why can't I do this? No, not that. Is that full screen? Nope. Dang it. Oh, what? Oh, because it's opening up a new tab. Sorry, always professional over here at the Pardon Well. Let's try this out real quick. Let's do this again. Always professional. Always professional. Let's try this out. All right, let's see if that worked out. Well, there it is. All right, so here's the portrait unveiled this week. Artist came out. They unveiled the portrait, King Charles himself. Big talk of the internet. Everyone talking about what in the hell is this monstrosity? All right, number one. I'm an artist, and I'm thinking what you're thinking. What happened here? No contrast to color. It's all the same. This looks like a bad abstract. Someone accidentally taped a photograph over the face of it. And you're not wrong. You can spot BS, and if any art critic comes out and be like, "Oh, it's masterfully pieced, the imagery and the nope, you caught the BS." That's the other thing about art critics; they're full of it too. They're looking into things. They're trying to sell you on something that ain't worth it. Totally garbage painting, but I'm not so quite sure it was meant to be. It wasn't. It was meant to be good. So I'm gonna pull that. I'm going to read this article out to you guys while you guys take a look at this. So here's ABC came out about the artist. And so the artist behind the King Charles III controversial portrait shares why he used the color red. So I'm just going to read this out. Jonathan Yeo, the UK-based artist, painted the portrait of King Charles unveiled Tuesday at Buckingham Palace. And over the course of 3 years, bro, spent 3 years painting this thing. The portrait, which stands over 6 feet tall, features a striking red background and shows Charles wearing a uniform of the Welsh Guards. So the uniform, obviously, is a uniform that is known, of which he made a regiment colonel in 1975, according to the palace. According to the new description of the portrait shared on Yeo's website, the artist chose the vivid red background in part to bring the contemporary jolt to the painting. I get it. I get everyone uses the word contemporary to just mean modern garbage. I don't know if he meant, all right, that's just how contemporary is just modern. It's to feel of the ages. That's what that is. So it's a throwaway word. So a contemporary jolt is somewhat descriptive of this. Yes, it's a modern piece of garbage and it is shocking. I think he did that on purpose. And let's continue. The vivid color, this is what it says. This is the artist himself. The vivid color of the glazes in the background echo the uniform's bright red tunic, not only resonating with the royal heritage found in the many historical portraits, but also injecting a dynamic contemporary jolt into the genre with its uniformly powerful hue, providing a modern contrast to more traditional depictions. All right, so basically what he's saying is he did this all red. Over the past 3 years, he painted this thing. It's all red. And he did it because he didn't want to contrast with anything in the painting. He wanted it to contrast with all the paintings around it. And so I think he intentionally did this. But here's the second thing. I know everyone out there is like, all these modern art pieces are garbage. You were absolutely true. But sometimes they're garbage on purpose. And so part of me wants to think that this guy knew that this was going to get talked about and is going to get ridiculed. And I think he definitely made a name for himself. Way beyond it would have been had he done anything that was more traditional. Part of me also thinks he, being an artist, might not be the biggest fan of the monarchy. So doing something like this might also be a statement to what he was thinking. And so a lot of people were coming out and was like, I guess this is good. No, this is awful. We shouldn't tell him. Makes me wonder if the artist was like, how about I do this and see what the world thinks about it. I'm going to continue on because they go into a little bit more. In his own words, he said the red was also designed to help Charles' military uniform fade into the background. Well, he did a great job of that because you could barely tell he's there. As a port, again, fade into the background. It is the background, and so I don't know. Again, it's a bit of a magic eye. You have to kind of squint to see Charles's body in it, but whatever. As a portrait artist, this is the artist again saying this. You get this unique opportunity to spend time, and you get to know the subject. Wink, wink. So I wanted to minimize the visual distractions and allow people to connect with the human being underneath. Ding, 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 ding. The boy painted this picture to look grotesque on purpose. He didn't say that. That's my opinion, but it seems to be a mockery. And so I'm hoping that might be what it is. And I'm hoping they didn't just go, who's going to paint the portrait this year? Well, I saw this guy on Instagram. He's got a few thousand followers. Let's just get him to paint the thing. And then the guy's just a bad artist, maybe. And then he goes into the monarch butterfly on the shoulder. We got blah, 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 blah. The unexpectedly modern painting and its bold red tone drew. Oh my God, I'm having a hard time reading. And its bold tone, red tone drew mixed reactions online quickly after its unveiling, at which Charles and you were present. Here's an Instagram post comment. I think it is beautiful and such a break from the traditional portraits. Look, this comment is dumb. It's just dumb. I want to use the R word, but it's dumb. Here's the thing. I get it. All of these super progressive people and artists are the friggin' worst. Trust me. I have a ton of friends that are they're really great at doing art and feeling it and getting into it. But it's the thing about art is it's hard to stand out when you're an artist. It's hard to rise above because it's a lot of people do it and it's been around for forever. So it's hard to stand out. So an artist will do a lot of things that are contemporary and try things out just to kind of pull themselves away from the pack. And sometimes they sacrifice beauty in the process. But what they will do is they go anything on the wild side, anything that pushes the boundaries of the traditional artistry is beautiful because it's pushing the boundaries. I want you to know this. Completely nonsense. You're being lied to. Back to the BS thing. Is it people telling themselves lies or they're trying to get you to believe the same thing? Just because something is untraditional doesn't make it beautiful. If anything, tradition tells us what is beautiful and what isn't, not because it says so, but because it tests the span of time. You can look at old paintings and you'd be like, wow, like let's take the Mona Lisa for an example. Beautiful painting. Had a painter painted this thing, painted the Mona Lisa, a month ago. Would you have been like, yeah, that's great? Maybe, but it wouldn't have been impressive. The thing that's impressive about the Mona Lisa is the context of when it was painted and how it was painted by the person who painted it. It makes it unique. Tradition didn't tell you that was a beautiful painting. Experience did. Tradition just is part of that whole thing. So if things last a long time, if things are traditional and they seem to stand the test of time, like good art, chances are it's because it does tap into something that's beautiful. Just because you come out and try to be progressive and push the boundaries does not equate beauty. It's just something to write down. I know it's a weird concept. That's what I'll say about that. All right, so coming to an end, I want to close out with this. Going back to the tradition, I'm gonna wrap this whole thing in a bow. You guys know how I like to do it. I got notes, but I do kind of frame this out in a story. So Gen Z is having a hard time figuring out what's true or false. And the older you get, the better off you're kind of. Again, I still struggle with the boomers being able to tell this. I keep seeing Facebook AI images that are like one like is a prayer for this, paraplegic kid in the street, and it's AI and it's a ton of likes and shares and emojis with holding a heart. You can't tell me that's like some Gen Zers like, oh my God, this kid's, I didn't know that was AI. Like prayer for like. No, Facebook, if there is any Gen Z on Facebook, it's mostly boomers, and they've been falling for this stuff for years. A like is a prayer for some. They still believe that. I still don't know how they believe that. If I like this, it's me sending this poor AI child a prayer. Hard time with that. But this goes to the idea that experience definitely stands the test of time. It's your best truth seeker. So if you're out there trying to find truth, you're actually trying to sift through. This is a conversation I had multiple times this week with some friends. How do we tell when we're being lied to? How do we tell the truth from falsehood? How do we weave our way and navigate this world where it's getting harder and harder to see through the false realities? The best way is a good, solid foundation. This brings in the tradition part. A foundation is something that is sturdily relied upon. That's why traditions, especially when it comes to religious traditions, are not always a bad thing to be tossed away. Chesterton gave you this analogy. He said, analogy, yeah, I think it's an or allegory. He said, people, especially younger people, progressive people want to move forward. They come across a fence in the woods and they're quickly wanting to take it down. But smart people who are aware of the surroundings, will always look at that fence and first ask, why was it put there in the first place before they change it? That's Chesterton's fence theory. That if you want to be wise, every time you see something and you're not sure, dig into it, do the work, because that'll be your best standpoint. And if something has standed the test of time for this long, the more likely it is to hold some truth to it. And that's why I bring up tradition, because I know everyone's like, all of these people have been dumb. Look out, especially this Jesus guy and these religions. How have they fallen for this? Because they believe some guy in the sky is looking down on. Trust me, every argument that has come against Christianity came against it 2,000 years ago. And we've just been going over and over and over again with the same stuff. Tradition is a solid foundation. And once you're confident in a deeply foundational idea of what is truth, what is not truth, these things become a lot easier to decipher. When, again, it's just experience. And if you can tap into 1,000 years of experience that you would not just document, like what I'm talking about, like written philosophers, theologians who wrote down their experiences and their thoughts. If you can absorb that, you have a better stance, because you're not just standing on your personal experience, you're standing on experiences of multiple different people throughout the ages. And so that's something, if you're really having a hard time how do I navigate the future, David? Here's your number one pointer. Go read some books, especially dead guy books. And like, why is it always got to be dead people? Because they're older and they've been through a time that may seem different than what you're going through, but this person experience, this human experience we're going through, is very similar, and it extends back from the ages. So that's my PSA. If you're having a hard time deciphering, your Gen Z or whatever, you're a boomer and you can't tell which Nigerian prince is legit and which one's fake, go back and read some more dead people. Man, if that was a legit question, like, David, I don't know which Nigerian is real. I don't know if there's any hope for you. Please don't vote. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. We will catch you back here next week. We'll talk about some more stuff. I'm sure it'll be a crazy week. Hey, go out there, tell the truth, always the best of your ability, and don't get discouraged. Don't be demoralized like those kids. The future is only bright because you make it bright. Anyway, hope you guys have a good night.